So this is 22:30 hours GMT edition. That is 2 minutes before that. We are starting at 22:28 hours GMT on Sunday, the 30th of January 2022. This is the KhoodeelaarTV television channel being broadcast only on the internet and not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable news network. Now, this is called Baby Angel Geronimo editions. And Baby Angel Geronimo is described as the world's most authentic, most moral, ethical witness to the congenital liar, Boris Johnson's depravity. And we shall be explaining further with the topical update. Each edition of the Baby Angel Geronimo edition of KhoodeelaarTV television channel is simply guided by and based on the world exclusive assertion on our part. The world exclusive assertion being that the entirety of the British press, typified by Fleet Street, is absolutely sick. It's immoral, untruthful, dishonest, corrupt, and of course, racist and imperialist and crusader operation. Now, here on page 13 of the Sunday Times, the London Sunday Times, page 13, the Sunday Times is the biggest in terms of bulk, in terms of the acreage. It's the bigger of the newspapers, the biggest one on Sunday, published from London, Fleet Street. And they've got this latest propaganda for this racist criminal called Emily Maitlies. We call her Maitlies because of her racist criminality. Now they're kind of pitting against her image, the image of the kind of Channel 4 news alternative to her. And the idea is that she represents, quote, true journalism, which she doesn't. But that is the assumption. That is the assumption on which the entirety of the British press, sucking up to each other and promoting one another, depends on and is based on. Now, as we have said before, the guy on the left of the screen, right from the viewer side, right from the viewer, in gray kind of suit, is John. We call him Slow, because they promote him as high achieving journalist, television journalist. Now they got in this piece mentions of almost all the kind of names that they want to drop, and we shall go into the names, through the names. Now, Krishnan Gurumurthy is the name suggests. He's born in Britain, but he's from South India, South Indian origin. Krishnan Gurumurthy is a DNA that is by birth DNA anti-Muslim, because he was launched in the kind of period in the 1980s on Channel 4 as a kind of young kind of entrant, by him being allowed to mount a kind of Hindutva crusade against the idea of Muslims. Now, when he did that, we didn't support the target of his attack, but we are doing this objectively diagnosing on the facts. Krishnan Gurumurthy could not have been more than 17, 18, whatever, when he was given an open impunity slot to attack a man called Kaleem Siddiqui. Now, we never agreed with Kaleem Siddiqui because we thought that Kaleem Siddiqui was an idiot, just in the same way that we consider Jeremy Corbyn politically an idiot. We consider Kaleem Siddiqui an idiot. Now, we support the universal rights of all the idiots that are unfairly targeted and attacked. So Kaleem Siddiqui is an idiot that we support the right of, as we do Jeremy Corbyn is an idiot, but we support his rights. Now, what we are looking at, what we are doing, what this program is about, remember, this is called the world exclusive diagnosis of Fleet Street. And when we talk about the baby angel Geronimo being the world's most authentic, reliable, ethical, and moral witness, in the context of the diagnosis, world exclusive diagnosis of Fleet Street, we combine three things in the actual evidential collection, let's say. Baby angel Geronimo, who was born in New Zealand and raised there by a woman called Leonie Walker. And baby angel Geronimo was the perfect health, in perfect health for alpacas. He's a member of the camel families, alpacas. Those who don't know what alpaca is, it's like a kind of version of camel. But this particular one, baby angel Geronimo, has the personality. Notice the word has the personality of an angel. And he symbolizes, baby angel Geronimo symbolizes those people who believe in God, those people who believe in universal virtue and justice, also believe in the angelic features, the blessings embodied by baby angel Geronimo. And the challenge that baby angel Geronimo represents for the human beings that call themselves the cabal or are the cabal, fronted by the evil doing Boris Johnson, know that baby angel Geronimo represents the ultimate, objectively defined, universally accepted kind of image of all that is the best in a creature, and all that is to be found in the best creature that has to be loved and treated in the most loving way, and to be treated as a gift to humanity, as a gift to the environment, as a gift to the other beings. And the fact that the government department, UK government department called DEFRA has been allowed to tell lies against the state of health and fitness of the baby angel Geronimo is the evidence of evil. Evil in the extreme. That which is the best, that which is the most kind of just, deserves to be treated with the ultimate, absolute love and affection and protection. And for such a personality, let's say the baby angel Geronimo, to be subjected to years of lies and demonization and fabrication and conspiracy and defamation, sums up the evil state that we have been going through in Britain, currently fronted by the evil-doing Boris Johnson, where all the pleas, all the pleadings, all the pleas, all the requests, all the rational requests for evidence, for compassion, for support, for respect are ignored, have been ignored brazenly, and are still being ignored brazenly by the cabal fronted by the congenital liar Boris Johnson. Now, there is a clip of a television kind of video clip, let's say, going around, and it's accessible, has been accessible during Sunday, the 30th of January 2022, via the website independent.co.uk, which is shown as being dated 2006. 2006 is the year when it was apparently recorded. And it shows literally a brazen Boris Johnson boasting and bragging about the way that he could treat with contempt. He was admitting that. It wasn't like he was beating about the bush. He was openly saying how he had learned the craft of misleading the mainstream media, with serial springing and spraying of lies in their direction. And he was boasting, appearing quite confident in his boast, that the media had no clue what they were being kind of treated to, as they were being misled, and they were being misled to tell the lies for him. That's what Boris Johnson is shown as boasting about in a video dated 2006, in a video that this campaign, accessed by accident, if you like, during this day today, 30th of January 2022. Now, there is a piece in the, as I said, the Sunday Times is comparing the vacancy, the political vacancy created by the retirement of John Slow at the Channel 4 News. And it is a piece, it seems, bylined by Rosamund Arwin. Now, there is absolutely this Rosamund Arwin. We shall talk about Rosamund Arwin in a minute. This piece is completely ignorant. This piece is ignorant, typical ignorant. Now, Rosamund Arwin has been one of the people who appears or has appeared on the BBC's news programs, review of the papers or front pages. So, what she has actually contributed has not been politically independent or neutral or robust or rigorous. And this piece about Emily Maitli's being a potential recruit to replace John Slow is not independent, objectively independent. So we go back to the question of our calling it world exclusive diagnosis of Fleet Street. Why do you call it? You diagnose something that is sick. You don't diagnose something that is not sick, that is healthy. So we diagnose, and our diagnosis is based on world exclusive review examination of the media. It is in a state of sickness. The British media is in a state of sickness. And we shall go into the various aspects of this. Now, the first thing is, this is, we tweeted already about this Tim Shipman, who is described as chief political commentator of the Sunday Times. Now, look at this length of it, it's huge. It's a broadsheet newspaper, which means it covers the whole floor. And it's a length, and the space is absolutely unbeatable in terms of space. But it's absolute rubbish. Because let's start with this first part. It says, the chaos of the Sue Gray report appears to have given the Prime Minister breathing space. Tory MPs are falling into line despite the party's scandal. But fresh peril lies ahead. Now, it's like a mechanical script being played out by all the political so-called commentators and police. This is exactly the same, almost the same line that is running on the only online available kind of version of the Independent. And the byline is given to, what is his name? John Rentoul. Now, John Rentoul used to live in Tower Hamlets, and he's a racist, evil-doing racist supporter of Blair. Now, there are evidence, there are scores and scores and scores of evidence of spies operating among the kind of communities like the Tower Hamlets, Bangladeshis. Now, Rentoul is one of the lying spies operating through the Labour Party, and is a racist. And Rentoul says the same thing as Tim Shipman is saying, and also the line by Toby Helms on the Observer. And we shall go back to looking at the Observer. This is the Observer. This is the Observer. Too many rubbish kind of Toby Helm, not Toby Helms, not the witness. This is Helm, Toby Helm. This is Toby Helm on the Observer. And there is a piece. And this is the same line. They are saying that the conservatives are doing the thing about the so-called Red Wall, the former Labour-held constituencies being helped to save Boris Johnson's job. And it says, Tories are accused of levelling up stunt to save Johnson's job. Now Toby Helm and Mark Townsend, the two Home Affairs editor. Toby Helm is the political editor of the Observer, and the Mark Townsend, the Home Affairs editor. Now these are mentally supine people. They get the kind of titles, but they lack the substance. And the fact that this piece in the Observer is promoting Lisa Nandi shows that they're idiotic. Lisa Nandi is the one, the daughter of the West Bengal born Deepak Nandi, and a white mother, is a complete and absolute stooge, conservative stooge. Because Lisa Nandi was promoted as a possible kind of leader, contender against Corbyn, solely on the basis that she is a courier. She is a courier of the conservative cause. So if there is anyone in the Labour Party who is now being so-called in the Labour Party in parliamentary terms, because remember, we believe that Keir Starmer has politically murdered the Labour Party. So we don't accept that the Labour Party exists. Now, so what we have in the Observer is a kind of as their substance, they are clutching at straws. I mean, Lisa Nandi is superficiality personified. She is absolutely without substance. And there is a piece in the Observer saying that families in poverty are risking debt trap with buy now, pay later groceries. Now that is a completely criminally stupid piece by the Observer. Why? Because on the same kind of organization, they are running an online piece that 200, nearly 200 billion, let's say 150 billion, 130 billion in one particular kind of case, 130 or 127 billion pounds worth of purchase about COVID is going waste. Now, what that means is that when the criminality is going on, the likes of the Observer are completely disengaged, they are miles away. And it takes them years before they catch up. And even so, they are not fully committed to telling the truth about the lies and the fraud and the criminality and the related evil that the evil doing Boris Johnson and his cabal are prone to do. And the Home Affairs editor of the Observer has got a piece headed Met Chief's Bombshell Prompted Confusion and Claims of a Teacher. This is not true at all. Because the whole thing about this Hooghray report being delayed and being subject to the police intervention is to do with the congenital liar Boris Johnson. It's Johnson who didn't want the truth to be published in the original version of the Hooghray report. It is Johnson and Johnson alone. So the fact that the Observer even runs this heading is completely evidence of the Observer's stupidity. And to extrapolate the description, the description that we have created originally, that is me created originally about 30 plus years ago, of the East London idiotizer. East London idiotizer. We can extrapolate that and call him the Home Affairs idiotizer. And it says how Cressida Dick's change of trajectory caused shockwaves. This is rubbish. This was not Cressida Dick's change of trajectory. It's Boris Johnson's desperate demand that he be spared. And it shows that the entire establishment is corrupt. This criminal racist Ken MacDonald, who was a DPP, is described, admitted as being more circumspect than Nazir Afzal. We shall come to Nazir Afzal in a minute. Was more circumspect but could see no justifiable reason for diluting Gray's report over what appears to be a series of fixed penalty notices. Now, this phrase again gives the game away. The question at the center of Boris Johnson's lying is nothing to do with the status of the breach, fixed penalty or not fixed penalty. That's a complete diversion. The whole issue is that Johnson lied. It doesn't matter what the status of the breach or breaches, because there were 9, 10, 11, whatever number of parties. And you add together 9 to 20, whatever, and you don't have a fixed penalty. You've got an unlimited penalty because they've been doing it repeatedly, gratuitously, and intentionally. They've been breaking the law. And the Observer is stupid, this Mark Townsend. The shit. It says, regardless of what Gray finds, the events of the past week may have further eroded trust in police and the government. That is a lie. Because whatever Sue Gray has found is no longer there. That is the whole point. Sue Gray completed her report at least a week ago. And Johnson knew what she found. And Johnson knew what Sue Gray found would mean he had to resign. He would have to resign. So how can the police be even recorded as having changed the trajectory when the police were not interested in that, precisely because of the pre-existing corruption of the police? The police only became reluctantly involved because Johnson wanted them to be involved. Johnson would never admit to having wanted the police to intervene. But winks and nudges did the work. And Cressida Dick, the commissioner of the police, who has been very, very widely condemned as incompetent, dishonest, and corrupt to the core, she has got nowhere to go. She had to do the bidding of Boris Johnson. And that's what has happened. So we are faced with the cul-de-sac in the British media. We'll come back to the Channel 4 news and the piece by Rosamund Arwin promoting Emily Maitlies in the context of the fact that the British media morally is in a cul-de-sac, is in a state of sickness, which is why our diagnosis, the world exclusive diagnosis of Fleet Street, is not only justified but is representative of the wider of the wider sickness in the British culture and British society. Just an aside, in Latin they say obiter dictum, a comment in passing, as they say in the courts. We have in the kind of latest naked display by desperate Madonna, what do we have? We have a naked exhibition of soullessness, lack of spirituality, morality, ethics, because Madonna hasn't got anything else to show except her aging body. I mean, who wants to suffer that spectacle? And for what? And that is a kind of statement about the backwardness and bankruptcy of the culture, Western culture. What did the Western culture, the Western music, what war did they stop? What war did they stop? Think about that. So the reason why the Western media and journalism and culture are headlines is not because of the contents of their items or the music, so called. It's because the market, the platforms are continuing the empire, the imperialist markets. Okay, so we'll go back to the Sunday Times piece about Emily Maitland, but this is the piece about Afghanistan. And this is written by Christina Lamb, and she's shown as being in Kabul. She might have flown out of Kabul by the time this appeared. But what she is saying is detailed in the heading on the page on the inside. And there are too many in the Sunday Times. I mean, because they haven't got any substance, they've got too many fake thinkers. They're thinking rubbish. And these are the kind of women that would really join the queue in condemning Meghan Markle. The leading one being Camilla Long. Camilla Long actually believes, going by the contents of our column in the Sunday Times, that she should have married at least one of the royals. I mean, she is that confident about her suitability in the way that she condemns Meghan Markle. So we shall come back to that in due course. But this one, in the edition on page 27 of the Sunday Times of 30th of January 2022, she says the wallpaper, the parties, the animals, they all have one person in common. And who is she targeting? Of course, she's targeting the woman who married Boris Johnson, whom Camilla Long must think has been missing by not marrying her, Camilla Long, that is. It's not based on the evidence, but it's based on the ego of Camilla Long. It's the corrupt ego that can match the ego of Boris Johnson's. And she's an apologist for Johnson. She's kind towards him. Read the starting paragraph. The accepted narrative on Boris Johnson is that he is a liar. He lies. We are told. Now, she doesn't believe that. She says, we are told, as if she has only come across this for the first time. He lies, we are told, almost as easily as he breathes. He does it so fluidly and expertly and naturally that it is easier to assume he is lying than he isn't. He hasn't. He isn't. The Downing Street parties, for example, he is clearly lying. Who doesn't know a party is happening, even when it is happening, and they are actually there? Also, the gold wallpaper lies at £4, 488, 840 pounds a roll. He was unaware of who was going to pay for it, despite having desperately asked his mates to pay for it, before lying about that as well. Then there were the dogs, a despicable story, far more serious than anything else. There are actual messages from Johnson's own private secretary approving an airlift of Penfarding's dogs out of Kabul, but she is leaving out the cats from reference. Last week, a Foreign Office email showed that an official working for Zach Goldsmith had confirmed that the Prime Minister has authorized the airlift of animals in favor of people. But the Prime Minister's response on Thursday, total rhubarb. How can Johnson claim he had nothing to do with it? I wondered, when it says in black and white that he did. As I watched the television footage of him saying rhubarb, it suddenly occurred to me maybe Johnson wasn't lying, never had been. He didn't look as if he was lying. So perhaps he isn't lying about any of it. Maybe the real reason is that the Prime Minister is in fact so disorganized and chaotic that many things are happening in Downing Street without his knowledge, things much, much worse than birthday cake. He's just letting anything happen. which he has no idea how to explain, let alone defend. To this Johnson, no number 10 must seem like some kind of extraordinary advent calendar. So this is the line that she is following coming along. And the line is reaching Kerry Simmons. So she is firmly blaming Kerry Simmons. So it's all Kerry Simmons who is doing it. Now, we accept that that is what is happening. But if that is what is happening, then Johnson is not innocent. Because Johnson is allowing Kerry Simmons to do whatever she's doing. Now we go back to, well, there are three pieces on Afghanistan. And the editorial ends. There is a danger that in this TikTok era, attention will move on from the tragedy of Afghanistan now that it no longer generates regular front page headlines. For the sake of the people we left behind, for our national moral integrity, and ultimately, given that Afghanistan could very well otherwise become a rogue state, for our own geopolitical self-interest, we must not allow that to happen. Remember, that is not something in accordance. It is not something in accordance with the obligations, humanitarian obligations. And this is the headline. This headline reads, as Afghan star Fatima 8 is sold into marriage so her family can eat. Now that is too serious an event. And we shall come to that before we finish this particular edition because of Afghanistan. Now we go back to the Rosamund Arwin piece about Channel 4 kind of toying with the idea of putting Emily Maitlies in the place vacated by John Slow. Now this is the piece that we shall read the kind of beginning paragraphs of. After Jon Snow was nudged out as a as the main anchor on Channel 4's news last year. Speculation turned to who could replace such a big beast of British broadcasting. This week, 9 months after Snow's exit was announced, the channel will edge closer to a decision about his successor as Esme Wren takes over as the program's editor. Wren, who previously edited BBC Two's Newsnight, has to pick one of three options and then get the approval of the channel's bosses. The first option is to promote one or two of the other regular presenters, Krishnan Gurumurthy, Kathy Newman, and the Europe editor Matt Fry. Insiders suggest that Gurumurthy and Newman could become joint lead presenters. The second is to hire from outside, with contenders rumored to include Wren's former colleague Emily Maitlis and Sky's Sarah Jane Mee, 43. More improbable candidates whose names have been whispered at Channel 4 and ITN, which produces the program, include Radio 2's Jeremy Vine, 56, and the veteran broadcaster Andrew Neil, 72. Although he is now in talks with the channel about fronting a Sunday evening political show instead, which has been confirmed by the time this particular issue or edition was printed. The final option is the status quo, to have no lead presenter as bosses at BBC Radio for today's program chose when John Humphreys retired in 2019. Each option creates a problem. Bring in a new presenter or promote one or two of the three, and the others will feel snubbed. But without a lead presenter, it is hard to establish a relationship with the 700,000 nightly viewers and define the program's character. Of the regular presenters, Gurumurthy, 51, has been pushing for a decision, according to Channel 4 insiders, while Fry, 58, hired by Jay Hunt when she was Chief Creative Officer, had expected to be Snow's replacement when he was poached from the BBC a decade ago. Matt's problem, and I suspect he knows this, is that he isn't the face for 2022. We've had two white men, Snow and Peter Snow, Sissons, do this job. It's unfair, but you can't really pick a third when there are excellent female and non-white candidates. Gurumurthy and Newman, 47, are regarded as formidable interviewers, but their colleagues say that it is unclear how to choose between the two. They also believe that Gurumurthy would have to give up some of his other work. Snow, 74, left last month after 32 years as the lead presenter. His salary, although significantly less than the $1 million a year that was often claimed, presents an opportunity to make a big hire. John was very much the face of the news. In fact, he was Channel 4. He was Channel 4 News, said a Channel 4 insider. So a Channel 4 insider, so you would think they want a like-for-like replacement, but of course, it's such a challenge. Who would want to follow John? They're massive boots to step into, and John wouldn't be able to resist weighing in if his replacement makes even a small mistakes. And what is Maitlis? Maitlis has the stature to replace Snow, but sources poured scorn on the idea that she would be hired. Would Esme really want her first move to be appointing her mate? Asked one, adding that Maitlis was believed to like the range of work the BBC offers. She gets to make documentaries on American politics, write the odd book, and appear on the cover of Tatler. That wouldn't really happen in Channel 4. even if they promised it. A further complication is that Deborah Tarnis, the chief executive of ITN, is moving in the opposite direction to Wren, becoming the BBC's head of news and current affairs, and may not wish to lose a high-profile presenter from her future employer. With the government planning to privatize Channel 4, the appointment has political ramifications too. Maitlis has been accused of breaching the BBC's rules on impartiality, including the critique of Boris Johnson's former aide Dominic Cummings. Michael Crick, the political correspondent who retired from Channel 4 in 2019, said, I think bringing Emily over would make the relationship between Channel 4 and the government even worse. But does Channel 4 want to appease the government and appoint someone not notably left of center? Or do they want to say, F stroke, no, F XXXU, you're going to privatize us anyway. Some insiders argue that Snow and Ben Depier, 51, who stepped down as editor on Friday, led an anti-government, anti-Brexit crusade at the channel. And that a new lead presenter is a chance to change the tone. A source familiar with the decision to push Snow out of the show said that politics had been a factor, if not an explicit one. It was pretty messy, though it wasn't articulated. It was pretty messy, though it wasn't articulated. The feeling was if the government get wound up and John is the icon of their unhappiness, why not move him out? Crick said the ITN and Channel 4 should be saying, how can we surprise the world? Snow told the big issue in December that his exit was Channel 4's choice, saying, I made the decision when they made the decision. It all came as a terrible shock. Now, as a campaigner for the founding of a Channel 4, I have got a lot to say about all of this. Not necessarily in this edition, but as I have been saying right from the beginning, this whole piece, byline to Rosamund Arwin, is based on absolute pack of fallacies and falsehood and myths. And we shall be talking more about Channel 4 and Channel 4 News and Rosamund Arwin and Emily Maitlis in another edition, not in this edition because of the need to give more time and space to the discussion. So what time are we now at? And we can see we started at 22:30. So if we started at 22:30, this is exactly an hour, 23:29. So what can we cover? We can cover quite a bit, but we shall put and the heading to the piece by Michael Gove is stupid. Now there is a piece in the Observer about another aspect of Boris Johnson's criminality, which is about Jennifer Arcuri. Apparently, Jennifer Arcuri has handed quite a significant part of her documents and the observer is saying that Johnson risks fresh damage as trove of Arcuri documents is handed over. Now that is a significant item of diversion. Diversion, that is, the other Free Street papers are not talking about Jennifer Arcuri. They're talking about tax and the Tory economics. What the Arcuri revelations mean is that he has been a habitual, criminally intentional liar for decades, who has been abusing his position in public office intentionally, illegally. This is not what the observer is saying. This is what our campaign is saying. Now, what the Jennifer Arcuri kind of affair contains, in short, is a summary of the evidence, the core evidence that constitutes Boris Johnson's intentionally criminal, brazen misuse and abuse of public office. And the Metropolitan Police has known about this. Fleet Street has known about this, all of this. And yet, Johnson has been allowed to continue to move from being a nobody in political terms to becoming Conservative candidate for Parliament, and so on. And the Mail on Sunday is lying for Johnson about the leveling up the northern cities. All the newspapers So there is a kind of profile of Sue Gray in the Mail on Sunday. Page 9. From a young age, Sue Gray was destined for great things. It wasn't just that she pored over her school books. Now this is the piece that is actually peddling a lie about her. They're saying this week, possibly tomorrow, the entire country will be listening when she delivers her much anticipated party gate findings. But she won't, because she has been blocked from reporting her true findings. So when you say morally, Fleet Street is in a cul-de-sac. It's a moral dead end. And it is an extension. It's an extension of the moral dead end that is the political system in the UK. Now, this is a criminal that takes us back to Brick Lane. This is the criminal liar, the daughter of a white mother and a Bengali father, who is at once a congenital liar and criminal and a mental slave, and a niece Tom. So we shall be talking about Monica Ali in later editions, whenever that is, because it will take a chapter and verse kind of approach to this criminal liar, racist stooge, mental slave.